So before learning Informatica, so I would like to go with some of the important concepts in the data warehouse, because Informatica is the ETL tool that belongs to the data warehousing environment. So it is a ETL tool that comes under the data warehousing theory, right? So Informatica here it's an ETL tool that comes into data warehousing theory. So for this particular reason, okay, for the first 3 to 4 classes, so we'll try to understand the concepts of the data warehousing. So once that is done, okay, the training will be, Informatica training will be started, right? So that is the reason. So before going to Informatica, so we'll try to go through some of the important concepts, like what exactly is a data warehouse, what is an OLTP, right? So what is the need of data warehouse, and why do we have the ETL tools coming in? What is the use of ETL tools in the data warehousing environment, and what are the advantages, right? So what is an OLAP? What kind of modeling we are going to use in the data warehousing environment, and what are the reporting tools, and what kind of tables we are going to use in this particular modeling in the data warehouse. So, right. So these are all the fundamental data warehousing concepts. So once we are done with that, okay, so we'll start the Informatica training. Okay. So for any organization or any company, basically data plays a major role, right? So basically data plays a major role. So let's take an example. So before going that, so what is the purpose of data? What is the purpose of the company storing the data? It's for the business analysis, right? So only purpose why the companies, right? So why any organization is storing, because in order to have the future reference. So the data will be stored in order to have the future reference, which is useful for the business analysis. So let's try to understand how the data is used in a fast food restaurant which serves the food items to the customers. Okay, so whenever a customer goes for any food item, okay, to this particular McDonald's company, seeking for some food items, okay, so the person over there is going to enter the order details of the customer through the front-end application, right? Through the front-end application, the order details will be entered. Or if you directly make an online order, like so, you have to basically first enter all the details of the, all the details of your address, phone number, right? And then you're going to order the food items what you need. So once you're done with that, okay, these front-end application, right, wherever you're entering the data, right, these front-end applications are designed with some of the programming languages like Java, .NET, C# for the D2K forms, right? So the front-end application, basically they are not capable of storing the information what we are entering, right? They are not capable of storing the information what we are entering. So for that reason, in order to do the business analysis, or in order to store the data for the future reference, we need to keep the data at some place. So that is nothing but a database, right? So we are going to store the data, right? We are going to store the data in the form of tables, in the database, in the application databases. Application databases are nothing but these databases supports the application. These databases supports the front-end application which stores the data of that application, right? So since the front-end applications cannot store the data, right? Since the front-end application have the disadvantage in storing the data, we have the back-end technologies, right, which is nothing but a database. So the information from the front-end application, it directly enters the database. It directly enters the database. So the database is nothing but it's a collection of information from the front-end application. It's a collection of information that is stored in the form of tables in the front-end application, right? So these databases, right? So these databases which supports the operational aspects of the system. Okay, so the databases supports the operational aspects of the system. We call them as OLTP. So what is meant by OLTP? So OLTP is nothing but it's a online transactional processing system, right? Online transactional processing system. So the OLTPs are nothing but, okay, so the OLTPs are nothing but the online transactional processing system, okay, so which are the data processing systems which are used to store all the transactions of the company, right? Which are used to store all the transactions of the company. So the OLTPs are nothing but these are the databases, okay? OLTPs are nothing but these are the databases which stores all the operational transactions of So that is the reason OLTPs are the very important parts of the organization. So because these stores all the operational transactions of the company, right? So the OLTPs are basically these are the kind of systems where its design is optimized in such a way that it can receive only a single record at a time, right? It can receive only a single record at a time. And so the OLTPs, right? The OLTPs are designed in such a way that it contains only the current data, right? It contains only the current data, means the kind of operations that will be performed on the OLTPs are either insert or update, right? Insert or update. So transaction, what is meant by transaction? A transaction is nothing but it's a set of DML operation. It's a set of DML operations, right? So DML is nothing but insert and update, right? So the OLTPs are basically the databases that contains all the operational transactions which are stored, and the systems are the backbone, right? So these are the backbones of the company, and this helps to run the day-to-day transaction or day-to-day operations of the business, right? So because of this importance, so the OLTPs are basically the first parts of the organization, right? These are the first parts of the organization that has to be characterized, right? So the very generic examples of the OLTP are, so you can take the railway application, railway applications. We can take airline applications, any kind of e-commerce applications, or banking applications, etc. Right? So these are the very generic and the real-time examples of the OLTP, right? So for every organization, in order to carry out the operational transactions, okay, these OLTPs are highly useful, right? These OLTPs are highly useful, right? Okay, then it contains the current data. OLTPs always contains the current data, right? So I'm the sales manager of this. So let's go back to the old example. So I'm basically the sales manager, let's assume, of the McDonald company. So I just want to analyze how the sales, sales were running across the whole whole USA country. So let us say this McDonald McDonald company is over different parts of the USA country. One is in New York, one is in Chicago, one is in Atlanta, and one is in Austin. Okay, so on these we have four different parts in USA where the McDonald store is present. So all the transactions of the USA, all the transactions of this particular New York, let's say they are carried out on the Oracle database. Okay, all the transactions of the Chicago are carried out on the Teradata database. Okay, all the transactions of this Atlanta are carried out on let's say MySQL database. Okay, so we have different databases that were taking the transactions from this particular McDonald's store. Okay, right. So if I am the sales manager of the company, I would like to analyze how the business is running. Right. So in that case, what is going to happen? I have to particularly each time, in order to analyze how the business is running across whole USA. Okay, so I have to first walk down into New York and I have to analyze how the business is running. Right. So I have to again walk down to Chicago. I have to analyze there how the business is run. So in the same way, I have to walk down to Atlanta and Austin also. Right. So in order to analyze how the business is run. So, being a sales manager of the company, okay, being a decision maker of the organization, right? So I won't be having that much time, right? I won't be having that much time enough to go for every OLTP system and analyze how the business is running, right? And so I wanted to analyze how the business is running across whole USA, right? I want to analyze how the business is running across whole USA, not at the independent region. So at that time, do I have the integrated data here in the OLTP system? No, right? I don't have the integrated data present in the OLTP system, right? And I have only current data present in the OLTP system. So current data in the sense, only updated data will be present in the OLTP system. Right, only updated data. So for that, so because of these disadvantages, right? So what are the disadvantages here? What are the disadvantages here? So the OLTP system contains the current data. So current data in the sense it contains only the updated data. It contains only the updated data, right? So updated data in the sense, okay, if you want to perform the analysis. So what is meant by analysis? Comparing the business with different time periods. So if it contains only the current data, it is very difficult for me to analyze how the business is running. Means, so I cannot do a proper analysis. Means I cannot compare, I cannot make a daily analysis, I cannot make a monthly analysis, nor I cannot make a yearly analysis. Right? So when it contains the current data. So current data in the sense, no historical data is available. No historical data. No historical data. Second one is no integrated data is present. So integrated data is not present in the OLTP system. And if you want to analyze the business also, it's a time consuming process. It's a time consuming process. And so if we have data existed in different RDBMS here, right? So you have the data existed in the this one is New York system is present on Oracle, Chicago is on Teradata, Atlanta is on MySQL, and Austin is on SQL Server. So you have the data existed in different RDBMS. So no tool in the market or no technology that we have in the current market which can get the data from multiple databases, multiple heterogeneous RDBMS, right? So no tool can access data from multiple or GMS or DBMS. Right? So because of all these disadvantages, so the OLTP systems are not useful for me in analyzing the business. They are not useful for me in analyzing the business. So where should I go for doing the better analysis of my business, right? So for the better decision making and for the better forecasting of the system, where can I make? So because of this reason, right? So they led to the invention of a new theory called as data warehouse, right? So what is going to happen here? The data that is existed in multiple OLTP systems, right? So the data that is existed in the multiple OLTP system, I'm extracting the data, and I'm transforming the data, and I'm loading the data into the very big database, which we call it as a data warehouse. Okay? So the data that is present in the multiple OLTP systems, I'm extracting the data, which is called as a data extraction, right? I'm transforming the data that is extracted from multiple OLTP systems, which is called as a data transformation, right? And I'm loading the data into the very big database, which is called as a data warehouse. So the data warehouse is again the RDBMS, right? So the data warehouse is again RDBMS, means it stores the data in the form of tables. Okay. So the data warehouse is nothing but it's a relational database management system, which is useful for analyzing the business operation. So every day the transactions that were performed on the OLTP, right? We are going to perform the data extraction, data transformation, and data loading into the data warehouse. Since we are loading every day into the data warehouse, right? We are not going to perform any kind of deletes from the data warehouse. We are not going to perform any kind of deletion of the rows from the data warehouse. So that is the reason it contains the historical data. So the data that is present in the data warehouse is a historical data, right? And so once we have the data present in the data warehouse, right? So once we have the data present in the data warehouse, so the business managers, right? So the business managers, since they are not the technical persons, right? They cannot directly query the data from the data warehouse, right? Because the data warehouse contains a huge amount of data. They cannot directly query the data from the data warehouse, right? So because of that reason, we need, right? So for the business users, we need some very interactive and understandable format of the data in order to do the business analysis. So for that reason, we have the concept of reporting, right? So the reporting is something which will be done on the data warehouse data, right? And the business users, right? So they are going to access the reports, right? They are going to access the report, and they will analyze how the business is running. Okay, right. So so the data warehouse is a relational database management system which is useful for the business analysis of the business operations, right? And a data warehouse, right? So I can perform the decisions. I can do the decisions in a better way when we have the data in the data warehouse, right? So that is the reason a data warehouse is called as a decision supporting system. So using the data warehouse, I can effectively take the decisions. Right? So whenever you have a data warehouse, it is easy for you, it is easy for the business users to analyze how the business is running. like they can analyze how the business is running, like what kind of revenue they are attaining every day on the daily basis, right? So what is the product, right? So people are more concentrating on, right? So what kind of promotion I can make on the existing product, right? So how much profit I'm getting on the daily basis or the monthly basis, right? So these kind of analytical decisions I can make by looking at the data in the data warehouse. So that is the reason a data warehouse is called as OLAP. A data warehouse is called as a OLAP database. So OLAP is nothing but online analytical processing system, right? So the OLTP, data warehouse is called as a OLAP database, online analytical processing system. I can do the analysis, right? So I can do the analysis, I can perform the analysis by seeing the data in the data warehouse, right? So so once we have the data in the data warehouse, we can analyze the business, right? We can analyze the business. The business users can analyze the business by using the tools called as, right? By using the tools called as reporting tools, right? By using the tools called as reporting tools. So we have the architecture like this. We have the source systems here, right? We have the source systems here, and we are performing extraction, transformation, and loading into a very big database called as data warehouse, right? So once we have the data warehouse ready here, right, the data in the data warehouse will be accessed by the reporting, right? The data in the data warehouse will be accessed by the reporting tool. So let's try to have diagram here, OLTP1, right? So we have different OLTPs, OLTP3, right? So what we are going to do here, we are going to perform the data extraction, right? Data transformation, and data loading into the data warehouse. So up to this area, right? So up to here, from the OLTPs to the data warehouse. So who are going to load the data, right? Who are going to load the data? They are ETL tools. So the ETL tools here, okay, plays an important role, right? So in extracting the data from multiple OLTPs, transforming the data and loading the data into the data warehouse. Okay, so we have many ETL tools in the market. We have the most important, the most powerful Informatica. We have data stage. So we have SSIS, right? We have Amnesia, etc. Okay, so these are all the ETL tools similar to Informatica. We have different ETL tools in the market which are going to do the same task, like extracting the data from multiple OLTPs, transforming the data and loading the data into the data warehouse, right? So the Informatica is basically, it's a very popular ETL tool that comes from Informatica Corporation. So DataStage is the ETL tool that comes from IBM. So SSIS is the ETL tool that comes from Microsoft, and the Amnesia is the ETL tool that comes from the Amnesia Corporation. Okay, so these are all the ETL tools which are going to do the task like getting the data into the data warehouse, right? So once you got the data into the data warehouse, so who are going to access, right? So the reporting tools or business intelligence tools, okay, are going to access the data in the data warehouse. They are going to show the data, right? They are going to show the data in the form of reports or the dashboards or the pie diagrams or the bar graphs, right, to the business users. In a very understandable format, they are going to use the data. So in the same way, we have many BA tools in the market, like we have very popular Cognos, SAP BO, Business Objects, Cognos, MicroStrategy, right, etc. Right. So the SAP BO is from SAP, Cognos is from IBM, so MicroStrategy is from MicroStrategy Corporation, right? Right. So these are the so this is how we have these are things that are going to happen in the data warehousing environment. So everyone says a data warehousing is a technology, but it's not a technology, it's a theory. Okay, it's a theory which is useful for the analysis of the business. Okay, so up to here it is called as the ETL layer, and from the data warehousing to the BA tools it is called as a presentation layer, right? So it is, they are going to present the data in the form of charts, okay, bars, pie diagrams, okay, etc. Right? They are going to represent the data in the form of this. Okay. Right. So we'll try to right. So if you are the business manager, I mean, if you are the HR manager, okay, you would like to know the report, right? So that is called as the HR report. Okay. So if you want to, if you are the financial manager, you would like, I mean, you would rather interested in knowing the finance status. Okay. So these kind of reports can be accessed from the data warehousing, right? So we'll try to see a sample report here. So you can see here, this is the sample report that is performed on the monthly analysis. That is performed to do the monthly analysis. You can see now. So this is the current month and this is the last month, right? So this is the monthly monthly report. Okay. We have even the yearly report. Okay. So which is going to perform the yearly analysis. Right, and this is the report basically which is used for the. So in this competitive world, we have different competitors. So okay, so all these different competitors, okay, they are going to announce the yearly profit. Okay, so based on that, okay, this report is generated. Right. So basically, my intention here is to show you what kind of ETL tools and why we have the ETL tool, okay, and why we have the business intelligence tools here. Okay. Right. So in this Informatica, so basically we have so in the Informatica we have two kinds of tools. So Informatica client tools, right, and Informatica server. Okay. So using the Informatica client tools, okay, using the Informatica client tools, so the role given to you is the ETL developer. Okay. So using the Informatica client tools, the ETL developer will be designing the ETLs, will be designing the ETL plans or ETL designs, right? So what is this ETL plan or ETL design? The plan of extracting the data from the OLTP systems, transforming the data and loading the data into the data warehouse. So this is nothing but a ETL plan. Okay. So as a ETL developer, you gonna make use of the Informatica client tools. Okay. You're going to make use of the Informatica client tools, okay, and you're going to design the ETL plans of the ETL design. Okay. So you're going to extract the data from the tables in the OLTP system. Okay. You're going to transform the data and you load the data into the data warehouse. right? So as the ETL developer, making use of the Informatica client tools, right? You're going to extract the data from the OLTP, transform the data, and load the data into the data warehouse. You're going to design the plan of the ETL. Okay. Right. So that's it. Any more questions are there, guys? Please feel free to ask me.
Venkat, this is Sunil here.
Yes, Sunil.
I have a couple of questions, if you don't mind. So not with respect to the session, but in general, okay? So for getting on with the course completely, what are the prerequisites? Like from the curriculum or whatever, I came to know that it is a skill that we need to know. But is there anything else we need to know with respect to prerequisites? And as well, in SQL also, I know SQL about DB2, but is there something which we need to know, like the commands which we need to do with Oracle database or any other database like that?
So basically, SQL is something which is a communication to the database, right? We cannot directly communicate with the database. So that is the reason we have SQL. So SQL is same to every database. Okay, only some syntactical difference will be present. Okay, so other than that, okay, so the SQL is same for every database. So you need not worry about that. But the mandatory in order to sustain for Informatica is SQL. SQL is very mandatory, and even Unix also.
Okay.
Okay.
So now, with if you say Unix, right? I have zero knowledge in Unix. Okay, to be frank.
Okay.
I know very basic commands which I used some 10 years back or so. So without that, can't I go with the course?
So basically, what is your experience, Sunil?
I have 10 years of experience.
So okay, so for accessing the Informatica files, okay, basically Informatica server is most of the time it is installed on the Unix box. Okay, it is installed on the Unix box. So that is the reason you have to know the Unix. You have to know Unix. So either in order to crack the interview or even going to the projects also, because the Informatica server is something built on the Unix box, you have to know the commands and sometimes the scripts also.
Okay, so you mean like you will be covering Informatica server also basically in the course, right?
Right, it will be covered. Informatica server in the sense all the administrative tasks will be done through the Informatica server. Okay.
Okay, and with respect to Unix, basically what kind of level is required? See, if I do my homework and learning Unix, right? So that is where I want to be clear. Is it like I need to know the commands like grep command or ls command or something like that, or how extend I should go in order to learn it?
So it is good to have the scripting knowledge also, but the basic, getting awareness on the commands of the Unix is very important.
Okay.
Okay, it's good to have the scripting knowledge also.
Okay, fine. And my next question is, does your course actually cover the XML mapping from the source to target definition? Tables basically.
XML mapping.
Yeah, basically if you have any XML as a source and the target is some data warehouse or database, so does your course cover that link? Basically, if we have flat files or if we have some tables, then I believe source to target mapping can be done. But what about XML? If something
it will be done, right? So we'll try to understand that also.
Sure.
Okay.
And
so we have. Yes. Go ahead. Nothing. So we have different sources, right? So we have flat files as the sources, or the CSV, or the tables, or the COBOL files, or the XML files. Okay. So we are going to take example of each source. Okay. So the training will be completely okay. It's a developer training basically. Okay. I'll be covering some of the Informatica admin concepts also. Okay. So basically the training intention is for the developer side. Okay, I'll be covering even the Informatica. So if you are interested, I'll show even the installation, like how you have to do and what kind of strategies you have to follow. Okay, if time permits and if you are interested, we'll try to see that one also. Okay.